Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wouldn't It Be Fun? I'm Amy Snell, and I am thrilled to be joined today by my friend Katie Jordan of Summer Camp Fibers and the KnitKit. Welcome.
Hi, nice to see everyone on this it's a Wednesday. We made it halfway through the week.
Yes, indeed. So, and thanks to our audience members who I see coming in now. Thanks for joining us live. That's awesome. And we also have some folks watching us live on YouTube. So,
Cool.
thanks for being here. So Katie and I met actually, gosh, was it like a year and a half ago now? We were
Oh, it's
both,
gotta be.
yeah, we were both part of Vogue Knitting's Launchpad.
Yes. Yes. That was an interesting. I remember applying for that thinking, am I gonna get into this? I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get into this. And it's funny because in my industry of manufacturing, I am a minority. I am the minority. So it was an interesting experience for me because there are parts of my business that was kind of established, and then some that I was like, I was supposed to do this because I don't have a business degree. So yeah, we met, and I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad we met. And actually, I've been following your journey as well. And I always throw people your way when they need to fix something because I know that
Oh,
you're like the super fixer.
thank you. That is so nice. Well, I think that was one of the really, really cool things about doing the Launchpad was just connecting with other people who are in this business but doing different things in the knitting industry. Like what you and I do is very different,
Very.
but there's a lot of synergy, and I just always feel like there's so much I can learn from everybody, even if it's just how you do your accounting versus how I do my accounting.
Right.
Or
Right. I agree.
yeah. Or your marketing or the way you talk about things, it's and I think you're really, really good at the way you talk about things. And I love looking at your Instagram and the colors of your yarn. It's always really energetic and really positive.
Yeah, I don't live in the world of gray. I live in the world of very vibrant color. My son always says to me, "It's not black and white." I'm like, "You're right. There's like a million colors out there, and I live in all of them, probably but black and white." And his joke is my favorite color is black because that's all I wear, generally speaking. Because I'm dyeing, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It doesn't get dirty.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I,
it doesn't get
I
dirty.
I often find I love colors in the knitting that I do, and so I will often wear really subdued colors or a lot of blacks so that I can put something bright on top
Right,
that's knitted.
right. I stepped out of my box a little bit ago and I started using colors that were out of my comfort zone, trying to push myself creatively. I crawled right back into my box because I'm so happy in the world of pink that I don't want to come out of it.
So, for those who are watching who are not familiar with your business, why don't you fill us in a little bit about what you do?
I own a company called Summer Camp Fibers, which was formerly called the KnitKit. We are a manufacturer of knitting well, now we're knitting and crocheting tools, but I guess you could say tools for makers. The KnitKit itself has been around since 2008, and my family bought it in 2017. So, like, my mom has always been a knitter. She taught me when I was 12 because I have ADD, and apparently I never sat down. So she thought that this would take me out of the ADD mayhem and like put me in one place. And ironically, I do not have the children that color in the corner. I don't have those children. So I always say to my mom all the time, I'm so sorry for what I ever did. But yeah, we've always been knitters. And then in 2017, my mom, my sister, and I bought the company. And we had an eye-opening experience because I don't have a degree in manufacturing. I don't have a degree in business. I actually went to a military school, believe it or not. I wore a uniform every day. I marched. I saluted the flag. I was up at 7. And then I was thrown. I have a degree actually in environmental protection and marine safety. Totally nothing to do with what I do now. My dad's joke is he wants a refund. He wants his money back. But we bought this in 2017, and I went to the school of hard knocks in manufacturing, and it's not easy, but I think I'm 5 years in now, and I finally have arrived to a point where I can gladly go toe to toe with anybody with all of our products, because I paired myself with some of the best people in the industry I could get my hands on and afford, because let me tell you, I'm in the wrong business. I should have been an ergonomic engineer, but we redesigned it, and now we're growing. I have a staff of 3 women, and I know that sounds small, but it's huge for me. And we do all women. We employ all women. So it's my mom, my sister, and I, and then 3 other ladies. And everything goes out of a 150 square foot office. So we do it every day. And I teach my kids at home. They're remote learning, so they're with me. I share an office with my 10-year-old who's dyslexic, who I sit with most of my day. And my husband also works from home too when he's home. And yeah, we're here, and we just somehow, my joke is I put a helmet on and a seatbelt and I hold on. I make it through my day.
Now, you've mentioned a couple of times that you're a woman-owned business, and you're right now all of your employees are women. Are there specific challenges you've encountered in that?
Yes. I found I went to a college that was predominantly male. So being part of that type of atmosphere is not foreign to me at all. I'm pretty comfortable there. However, I've noticed with manufacturing, especially American manufacturing, it's the good old boy network, and it's really hard. And I'm not trying to say this lightly, but as a bubbly blonde, to go in there and be like, I'm so excited. And they're like, really? And I got taken advantage of a couple times. It lost us thousands of dollars. And when you've invested everything that you've saved into a business, it just becomes hard. So that's probably the biggest challenge, was learning the manufacturing industry and how to stand on my own 2 feet. And I had good days and bad days. My kids saw me through that whole spectrum. And I think the important thing is yeah, I am a minority. I am a lady in a man's world here, but I persevered and I kept going. I mean, I shed a lot of tears, I'm not going to lie, but I'm just really proud of what I built, as far as I redesigned the entire KnitKit. It came with a lot of undisclosed issues that I guess in buying a business I didn't know. So I had to overcome those, and then I redesigned that. So I put everything I made into that. I still haven't taken a paycheck to this day. And I just keep going. So it's important that I've built this, and now I can provide something for 3 other ladies, and that is important. And I also, one of the ladies that works for me is Jess. She's a friend of mine, and it makes me happy that I can do what I like with people who are interested in what I'm interested in. So it doesn't really feel like work. So I literally work all the time, because I don't really feel like it's work, because I like it.
I find it can be really it can be hard sometimes to draw the line if you're like, I'm a sole proprietor, right? And I think there's probably a lot of really similarities in terms of like like you said, I work all the time, and lots of it is fun, and for me, there's certainly a percentage of it that is actual work that I have to make myself sit down and do.
Right.
But it's just really hard to keep that from bleeding out into all other areas of your life, especially when you're trying to be in growth mode.
I think also the phone doesn't help, right? I run my entire business from my phone. So if I'm not in my office, so I can really, if you email me and I see it pop up and it's a question I know I can answer, I generally get right back to you. And I know I have to actually catch myself to not check my email. And like, I don't have alerts on Instagram. I wouldn't know that this sweater got however many likes. I couldn't tell you. I don't check that ever, because I found in the beginning it was like, you almost measured your worth on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that one flopped. Why? And I knew what I was putting out was good. So it's, the algorithm is nobody's friend, I've noticed. So it was one of those things where I find, for me, my kids will say, Mom, you always work. And my husband's the same way. On a side note, he manages ships that manage your internet. Like, he's responsible for the transoceanic cables for our internet. So something breaks, it's got to be fixed. He's always working too. I think that's just how the world works these days. Is it's hard to shut off and shut down, especially when you're responsible to keep something going.
Yeah, it's my husband and I each have our own businesses, and the plus side of it is we can work from anywhere. The
Yes.
problem is if you can work from anywhere, you have to work from everywhere. You know, like you said, the phone, I check my emails before I get dressed or eat breakfast or have coffee in the morning. And so anyone getting a first thing in the morning email from me, I have typed it with my thumbs. It's probably as short as I could possibly make it. It might be a little brusque. I have to really watch myself because I'm trying to get it out of the way and moved into the done pile, you know?
Right. Right. No, I'm the same way. I do I will peruse, like, generally I feel, I don't know about you, but I feel like keeping up with pattern drops in yarn and trends is, I could easily, if I had the funds, pay somebody a full-time job just to do that. Like, it's astronomical.
A lot to keep up with.
It's crazy. And I'm fortunate and lucky enough that I've surrounded myself with people who I have somewhat of an inside track, so I kind of can anticipate what's coming, which is nice. But I do in the morning, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I used to ride. So I've always done spinning, like on a bike. So I used to ride in the morning, and then my kids got this new schedule. So I was able to not have to come out here first thing and ride my bike. I can ride it when my son is getting like speech therapy or something and I'm not involved. So that's really good. But I get up and make my coffee. I always drink iced coffee. I never drink hot coffee ever. And there's three things I check, and this is going to sound weird. I check Instagram to make sure I didn't miss anything, like as in a pattern, of whatever. Because also I generally will stay away from noise. Like, I just can't do it. I'm a sole proprietor. Like, I am a sole proprietor. Well, we're a partnership, but I can't be consumed with too much because I have to put food on my table. And then I check my email, and then I check Shopify to see what happened at night, because we have a big following, believe it or not, across the globe. So things happen at night. So I check and make sure I know what orders are going out or what's coming at me or that type of thing, or who hasn't gotten their order, because I do track that stuff too. So that's my morning routine. And I generally, by the time I get out to my office, I've probably am 4 cups of coffee in. I drink an obscene amount of coffee, like obscene.
So you recently changed kind of the name of your business, and the front end of the website is really focused now on a lot of your yarns and things. So I would love to hear more about what's the reasoning behind that process, and what does that mean for your business?
Well, we're growing. That's what it means.
That's good.
So Summer Camp Yarns is, I have the knit kit and she's lovely. And now I have the crochet kit, and I'll touch on her in a second. But my baby is Summer Camp. That's my baby. And that was born because, for all of you who haven't seen me, my kids have gone to camp forever and their camp closed. And so they don't go to camp because I need them to. They wanted to. Okay, fine. So their camp like closed like cold turkey, like forget it, you're not, they didn't even have a goodbye. And I thought, well, this is horrible. So overnight I became like, they were home. And then I became a camp counselor. And then I had to plan the entire summer, literally in one night, through tears. Everybody was crying. It was like ridiculous. So I thought to myself, well, what do you do at camp? Well, you go swimming. So I went out and bought a pool in a box and I threw it up. It's the best $500 I've ever spent that summer. And then I started tie-dyeing. And we tie-dyed everything. I'm talking beds, like I did comforters, sheets, drapes, shirts, shorts. And then my husband halted me at the underwear. He's like, that's enough. And so he said, why don't you try yarn? Because he knows, so I'm the super creative one. He's an engineer. He's like super level-headed. And I'm like jumping on we want $1 million. I'm jumping on the couch and he's like looking over his paper going, call the financial advisor. Like, we're just so opposite. So he said, try yarn. So I made the small investment. I made sure everybody had the proper PPE. Because I thought, well, that would look really bad if the girl with the safety degree doesn't have the right stuff. So we got all that, and I literally started dyeing with 2 pans and my grill, because my grill was the only thing I could get these pans hot enough to do what I wanted to do. So we started with that, and we'd rinse it with the hose in the driveway, and we had like those old school wooden clothes dryer racks all over the place. And that is literally how I started, was with 5-gallon buckets of water, 2 pans, a grill, and a hose.
When was that you started?
When it was during the lockdown, so 2020. So we're 3 years in now. And yeah, it was really funny, because with speckling, you're using these pigments, and I'm outside, so there's wind. So all of a sudden I'm looking down the table, I'm like, how did the paint get over there? So that was pretty fun. And then at the time we had like a air hockey table. So I put a big piece of plywood over that. And then I laid out all these pans and I filled them with boiling water. And I gave the kids like a parameter, because both my kids help me dye and they're both colorblind. So this is where things get interesting, because what you see behind me is not what they see. So sometimes it's like you have to really wrap your head around to where they're going. But so they have, generally speaking, I write like the color family I want them to stay in, or I lay out the pigments that they can use. So I don't make mud, because that's really expensive if you blow like 3 bags of yarn on brown. Brown is just, I don't know. I've never even dyed it intentionally. So yeah, they just stay in the right color family, and we just dyed it and it stuck. And then little by little, we've been punching at the thing, but I rebranded because we were originally the KnitKit. So if you crocheted and you saw the KnitKit, you wouldn't even come see me. You didn't even know I had yarn.
Yeah.
So we're weavers. So now weavers are coming to me for the color. People come to me for our pinks and our purples and our reds all the time. And I decided to make the jump because I wanted to be inclusive of the making community, instead of cutting you off at the KnitKit, because I was missing out on so many people. And the thing around here is, when you purchase from us, you become part of our family, because this is a family-run business. So you become part of the summer camp family, and I can't reach those people if I'm just knitting. So Summer Camp Fibers we changed over to Summer Camp Fibers, and born was the crochet kit. People had been asking for it for years. So I figured out a way to do that, which it's very similar to the KnitKit, except I just really went to work on what tools work for crocheters, which I just learned how to crochet this year. So being able to do it, now I get it. Cause I'm like, oh, what do you need those for? Like, I don't get it. But now that I can do it, I get it. So we try to give you everything that you need to make, but like a hook, a yarn, or needles. But we have the yarn. We have a fresh new needle line launching next month,
Oh,
which
that's
should
exciting.
be, yeah, it's a labor of love. But we are trying just to be and I just want to have that open door where I don't care what you do. You just come in my door and we'll make something. You want to teach me how to weave? We'll weave. You crochet? We'll crochet. Needle punching's another one. I had no idea about needle punching until about 3 weeks ago. And somebody's like, do you sell these kits? I'm like, no. But yeah, we're just, Summer Camp Fibers is just a place where I'm hoping that everybody has a memory of camp that's hopefully positive, and I'm hoping that my colors bring you back to that place where you're like, cannonballs are awesome. I love gummy bears. Like, cool. I think everybody has that memory somewhere of that just summer fun.
Well, that's awesome, and I love your colors and your yarn. I love the brights. They tend to really speak to me.
I like brights too.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, everything's like splattered pink. Jess is always like, can we have another color? I'm like, no.
So for people that aren't familiar with the knit kit, can you talk a little bit about what the knit kit and the crochet kit are?
Oh yeah. I can grab one right here. I have the new one that was just launched today. So this is, I'm gonna see what I can do here. This is the knit kit. I think maybe pulling the pink, it's like, there we go. This is the knit kit. It's a handheld. It also is the crochet kit. It's a handheld device that has everything you need to make, but a hook and needles and yarn.
So
So the
like all
top,
your notions and things like that?
everything. So the top is your row counter. It's 3 digits. So I went to work and I thought to myself, I don't necessarily always count up to the hundreds. I kind of like, I don't know if it's my ADD and I just lose track or whatever, but the ones in the tens index to 99. In our hundreds digit, it can be your hundreds digit, but for me and a lot of other people, it could be a reminder digit. So my favorite story is if I didn't have it, all my sleeves would be rectangles. So that's what I use it for. The
So
side
like
right
counting
here.
repeats
Yeah.
and increases and things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research on what people use them for. And I'm one of those people that if I'm up, I think you're up. So if I have a problem, I think you probably have that same problem. That's just how I've always been. So on the side of it, we have like a thread snip, and then we have like your nested tools in there. So we, our nested tools are ergonomically designed to make you be more productive. So like our double-ended crochet hook, the shape of it is on purpose. It's to, even though it does fit here, but it's to weave in ends and pick up slip stitches, because we all know that sometimes you have to like stand on your head to pick up a slip stitch, right? We've all been there, like bending like yoga poses, trying to get that one stitch. It's a pain. So I tried to help. And then the other side of the kit has the our variegated cable needle. So we didn't pack you with all these cable needles. We gave you a US 3 to an 8 for a cable needle, but I even use it on jumbo stuff all the time. So that is my claim to fame. It has your 60-inch tape measure that's retractable in there. And the back is that's where I say the party's in the back, right? So we have your needle gauge, which we increased to a US 19. So I do a lot of bulky knitting. So I was like, why am I selling something that I don't even have all the way up to what I do? So I changed that. And then on the back, when you open it up, it has all the crochet hook letters. So it's a 2-for-1. And then inside of it holds everything that you need. So we give you, so for knitters, we give you 4 sizes of round powder coated steel stitch markers. We also give you the powder coated steel walking stitch markers. We give you a darning needle, and we also give you point protectors. So you have the essentials. You can literally make and finish a project, and it's all here in the palm of your hand. I mean, it's small. It's different than the old kit. I used to get people telling me that they didn't like the shape of the old kit because it resembled I've gotten everything under the book. The big one was it resembled like a prescription case of sorts. So I took it and I was like, well, how do I make this better? The reason why it's shaped the way it is because it fits in your hand better.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure all sizes of people, all ages of people, all abilities and disabilities of people, and all your ailments. I always get tennis elbow for stitches where you go back and forth like fisherman's rib and stuff like that. I have to take breaks because all of a sudden my whole arm is just dead. I don't like it. So I don't want anything that I'm giving you extra to be I'm not your problem. Like, I don't want to be your problem. So it's ergonomically designed to use easier. It's a little thicker for that reason. And that's probably the biggest pushback I get is people will say, well, it's bigger. Well, it's really not that much bigger. I increased the height of it by 1/16 of an inch. And I increased the width of it by 1/4 of an inch. And that's because the old scissors aren't made anymore. Mm-hmm. So I opened the pocket up to accommodate 5 different types of scissors. So I wouldn't have a problem there. And then it's thicker because everybody used to show me what was in their knit kit, and it would be like busting at the seams with like broken hinges. So everybody likes to pack a bunch of stuff in it, which is, and you can pack a lot of stuff in it. So it's basically a little bit bigger, so it's easier to hold. And I added the equivalent of a mini skein to it in weight. It's really the same. Really,
it's still a really good size just to fit right into your project bag. I mean, yes. It because of its thinness, I think that kind of goes really easily into most project bags. But one thing I really love is just the little detail of having the crochet hook size next to your needle sizer. It comes up. I find that when I'm teaching, I'll just say blithely, oh, grab a crochet hook that's about the same size as your knitting needle. Right, when we're making repairs or something. I'm not a crocheter. Do I have those memorized? No, I have to look them up. Like if I'm putting together instructions for a class, for class homework or materials to bring to class, and I'll say, worsted weight yarn and like a size 7 or 8 needle and a crochet hook. Oh, that's like, I have to go look it up. That's like HIJ because I'm not a crocheter and I don't know that automatically.
Right.
That's handy. Because I do tend to I have all the tools right all the time, right. But when I'm making up my project bag, when I want to grab the crochet hook that's the right size to have with my knitting needles for doing the work, I don't have a needle sizer that has crochet hook sizes on it.
It's not common. Yeah. It's really not common. Some people have them, but they're bigger and they're like a big square because they're trying to go in such a broad range. But I thought that was important because, as I said, I want to bring in as much as I can. I like to give you everything but the kitchen sink. If I could give you the kitchen sink, I would, but it's really not practical. So I try to just pile everything in there.
So what comes in the crochet hook, the crochet set?
It comes with the 20 walking powder coated steel stitch markers. You get 2 double-ended crochet hooks and you get the darning needle. So I took out the stuff that you didn't need and I replaced it with actually more than what you would get in the knit kit because of the size of the items and the repetitiveness of which you use some of these in your bigger projects. I wasn't aware of that.
And so with your double-ended crochet hooks, are they 2 different sizes?
No, that is coming. Right now they're the same size, but I've noticed that people like to have 2. And I also noticed that when people were buying the knit kit, they were also buying extra crochet hooks. So we just flipped out the cable hook because I didn't think crocheters really utilize that as
Yeah, that makes
much.
sense. I love the double-ended crochet hooks. I'm a big proponent of them, and I tend to, again, when we're doing my repair classes, I'll talk about, if you're laddering up in garter stitch, a double-ended crochet hook is like, it is the tool to have.
Yes,
So much
yes,
easier.
yes. I went through a couple of hooks before we landed on this one, just because it's so funny how you have to, when you're manufacturing something, you kind of have to take yourself out of what you necessarily want and put yourself into what other people need, which was really hard because here I am fighting for like the world of the bulky knitting. And I'm like, well, not a lot of people, not everybody does that. So the hook that we put on there, you can do your finer gauge. The smaller end is, I would say, I have to look myself. I don't have it memorized. I would say it's probably about a C, and then the larger size is probably about an H or a K. And I use the H and the K for bulky knitting as well. So I tried to pick in between where
Yeah,
you could
those are
use it
really
for
good
everything.
size range because the C is going to be, you can use that even like for sock yarn,
Lace
and
weight.
the H is great for worsted and up.
I've used it on like knit collage, like that really thick stuff. I've just grabbed it and off I went.
Yeah, you don't have to be as exact when you're doing repairs.
Yeah, I do a lot of repair. It's funny, when I first started knitting, I knew nothing about gauge, nothing. And I knit, my first sweater was a Lopi sweater. Some people have seen it on me. Well, because I didn't know anything about gauge, it still fits me to this day. So now I have this vintage Lopi sweater I made when I was 12 that my sister wears the one that was a little smaller. We wear them all the time, and people are like, where can I get that sweater? I'm like, 1986.
So, what do your boys think about the work that you do? I love hearing about them helping you dye and how that all got started. But there must be a lot of balance because you've got your kids are still school age and you're running business and your mom and you've got a lot of, you're very hands-on with them.
Yes. Both my kids have learning disabilities, which puts another wrinkle into things. And as I said, I didn't get the kids the color in the corner. So in my house, there's never a dull moment either. Um, my kids think I'm fun. Well, I kind of walk the fence. So my husband I did the math the other day. We have spent more time, we've been together more than we've actually been physically in the same room. He was a marine engineer, and now he climbed that ladder, and now he manages all these ships for a company. So he's gone a lot, not as much as he used to be, but I raised my boys kind of like semi-single, it was just me. And I was talking to him the other day. I'm like, I'm really spread thin because then I didn't have a business and I didn't have kids in school. So my typical day is I run out here at 5:30. I turn on my pans, and then I run back inside and I turn on the griddle. And then I wake everybody up around 6:15. I make breakfast for everybody. Everybody somehow gets miraculously out here by 8. But by that time, I've already put one layer of yarn in the pans, and then they do some classes. Then we have snack in our house. So I run back to the house and I do snack, and then I run back out, rinse yarn, sit down with bro, answer the phone, email at the same time. I'm very multi-stat. While normally knitting, normally I have a deadline that I'm trying to meet, and I'm normally like knitting. And then we have lunch, which I make as well. And then we all walk as a family during lunch. We come back, and let's see the balance here, right? They go back to school, finish at 2, and then that's when I go to work. And I really work until 5. From 2 to 5, it's like I'm running, I'm sweating because I'm rinsing yarn or dyeing yarn where I have to like take a breath and pay attention. and then I'm shipping orders, I'm answering emails, I'm answering the phone, and then I have to run inside and make dinner and put my kids to bed. So it's a balance that I think is unbalanced at this point, but we do it. They think it's really fun. They're always telling me, so I'm really private about my family life, even though it's probably like a 3-ring circus and it's probably pretty funny. But I've always been a private, as outgoing as I am, I'm very private about my family. So they always bug me to dye yarn on Instagram Live. That's our new thing. They want to dye yarn on Instagram Live. So I think we're going to start doing that, but they love it when they don't have their video games going. That's like my biggest. So my 2 biggest competitors in life, God, honestly, are the Ziploc bag and video games.
Why the Ziploc bags?
Every time somebody comes to, so back when I was showing in person, people would be like, I don't need that. I have a Ziploc bag. I'm like, well, I don't have a Ziploc bag and I don't get holes. So I don't know what to tell you. So to this day, it's still a Ziploc bag. And then with them, it's the video games, because if you get those video games off them, they create amazing things. And they think what I do is cute, but they think I work a lot, which I do. We were just talking about that, right? I work.
Yeah. And
I mean, I'm out here now and I'm praying to God that they either don't come flying in the door or they're not burning down my house. Cause I'm fortunate enough to have a separate building. So for me working from home, at least I can get out of my house. Like there's a dividing, like at least I can close the door a little bit and leave it, which was important to my husband and I. But I work all the time. And then my husband comes home from wherever he's been and he's like, Captain Fun. And I'm like the fun sucker. Cause I'm like, well, you got to eat dinner and we have rules. I'm sorry. So it's a balance, but I guess it's my crazy balance, but everybody else would probably be like, you're like this.
I remember one thing my son, now my kids are older than yours, but I love hearing, I don't know, hearing about how you are juggling puts me back like 10 years, to when that was my day to day. And, I did it differently. I didn't launch my knitting business until my kids were pretty self-sufficient,
Yeah.
college and like high school, but like old enough to be doing their own things. But when my younger son said to me back in 2020, I guess he was still in high school, and he was looking at my business and he said, when they talk to us about careers in school, there is nobody that's talking about you can just go start up a business. And I just watched how you started up a business. And I did. And
Right.
he's like, and he knew, like, I was talking about it a lot. So he knew what a lot of the discrete pieces were about setting up a website and a business, shopping portal and all the different things. But it was really interesting, from his perspective, as he was choosing his college courses of study and what he wanted to do, that everything seemed to be oriented toward, you go work for somebody else. You go get a job somewhere doing a thing. And there was not a lot of emphasis on, you can start a business and that is a legitimate thing. We live in Silicon Valley. People start up businesses all the time.
Right? They're like a dime a dozen.
And how is Mountain View High School not talking about you can just go start up a business?
Right. Especially in that area. That's funny because my kids, Charlie is way into theater and he's pretty accomplished at 13. And he's always telling me how when he gets famous, when he owns his Lamborghini, when he buys me a mansion, like the list goes on. I'm like, all right, you can buy me a mansion. I'll let you. And the other one, my husband always jokes, just give him a dump truck. The kid will be fine. Like he's always like hands-on, loves trucks, like is totally different. But at the same time, they've spent so much time with me. And, being in this industry, you're also kind of in fashion, right? It's the slow fashion, but you're kind of looking at trends and what's coming. So I watch fashion shows. bro, my littlest one, will gladly go outside and fix the tractor with his father and then come in and watch the Chanel fashion show and be like, wow, that's a cool dress. So I feel like we don't have that conversation in our house, which is really funny. They automatically think that they're just going to, if they want to make money, they'll figure it out. Like, that's just how like they are. Because, and I think it's because both of us work from home. They've never seen me go to an office. I've actually worked from home. Before I did this, I worked in the bank. It was prior to 2000, the crash of 2008. I worked for the major lending companies, and what I do is inspect buildings and make sure they weren't in environmental liability. I'm talking the big high rises in New York City. Like, I went all over the South after Katrina, making sure cell phone towers still existed and crazy stuff. And they've never seen me work like that. They've only seen me work from home, which is interesting. Because so when COVID hit, I was already home. I had already been home since 2009. Mm-hmm. So for me, I just added an office. I mean, I added a desk for my son, and I already had an office, but this is normal for me. And it's normal for my kids to be like, oh, I'll just have an office and figure out how to make money. Well, they wanted to be the Shirtless Brothers one time, the Shirtless Brothers, and they'd come to your house and they'd do stuff. You were to pay them to do stuff. I was like, you gonna put a shirt on? They're like, no, that's not our thing. And we're the Shirtless Brothers. I was like, wow, you better go to the gym. My husband is 100% Irish, and he is first generation American, which is also a thing around, like, paving your own way is a big thing for him. So my kids are very Irish and they're very pale. And I'm like, wow, Shirtless Brothers, you go get a lawnmower. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I think that's it's awesome. Funny. They think it's fun. Charlie's always like, well, who's going to run the company when you don't want to? Am I? I was like, if you want to, hopefully by then it runs itself and you could run it. Because I'm very in it. So it's a little different.
So what's next for you?
We have a lot. We have almost so much that my sister Jess and I are like, how are we going to do this? So one of the things that's coming up is we will be at Rhinebeck. We will be at an event called Cake Palooza, which I'm super excited beyond belief to go to Rhinebeck. I've never been. And to have the opportunity to vend at one of these events is huge. So we will be there. That's my first event since 2019.
Wow.
So I feel like I have to dust myself off here. And I haven't been out in sell like with my business since 2019. So that's going to be a huge thing for us. The other thing we have coming is Advents. And we're pushing the envelope on Advents a little, and kind of I like to push the envelope if people haven't noticed already. I like to just give it a little shove. So we're pushing some boundaries a little. And I will say that our Advents are open to 3 different weights, which is kind of not the norm. And we have 2 different ways you can go about your camp experience, which a lot of people don't do that either. And we are toying with the idea of bringing them physically to Rhinebeck so you can take them with you and you're not waiting for it to arrive. Because the mail, right? The mail's scary during Christmas.
Yeah.
And then people, I don't know how many howlers I've gotten because people don't get their packages. And I'm like, what? There's nothing I can do unless I put it in my car and drive it to you myself. I can't make it to Arizona by Christmas. I'm sorry. So, that's huge on the horizon for us, are those 2 things. We also, I've also provided yarn support for some pretty big test knits that are coming out, which I'm really proud of. I've worked really hard at these colors. And it was funny. I actually could sit back and be like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. Some days I'm like, shake, shake. Okay. Shake, shake. Okay, we're good. But I threw together this palette of colors for fall, and I sat back and I was like, you know what? That's good. So I'm excited for that. We have a new base coming as well. It's sport, and we actually just got it from the mill the other day, and I took it out of the package. And I I talked to Jess on FaceTime a lot because she is in Omaha. So I took it out of the package, and I guess my eyes went like, whoa, because it's so soft. And I was so excited to start dyeing it and working with it because it is so soft. And one of our mantras around here is all squish, no mush. So all of our yarn is washed twice, and it's fluffed, and it's put in front of fans, and it's super lofty. And so I have to make sure I don't know about you, but I'm always chasing perfection. It's a bad thing to have, right? My son is always like, there's no such thing as perfection. And I was like, well, actually, you cannot play out of tune. It sounds awful. So there's the touch, but I'm super detail oriented. So everything that goes out has to go out a certain way. It has to be put in the package a certain way. We disinfect all our knit kits before they leave because of COVID and everything. I don't want to be accused of giving you anything. So with our yarn, it's the same way. Everything has to be skeined a certain way. It has to be tagged a certain way. It has to feel a certain way. And if it doesn't feel a certain way, it doesn't leave the door. There's a bin of yarn that I've just tossed that either has to be rewashed or reskeined or whatever, that I'm not going to give you something I wouldn't use myself. So
I really appreciate that as a consumer.
yeah.
There's consistency is really something that I value. When you have a yarn that you like to work with, you go back to that yarn because you like those attributes and you want to be able to rely on them.
Yeah, I try. It took me a while to find the bases that I liked. And another thing that I was looking for was also value, right? In this day and age, value is huge. So technically speaking, on our DK is actually 115 gram skein that I market as 100 grams. And it says it's 246 yards. It's pushing, I could say with conviction, it's pushing 260, 270 easy. And so that is important value. The squish is huge with me. Softness, like it's funny, I'll wear Lopies till the cows come home, like that Icelandic, like rough stuff, but I wear them outside. I don't wear them inside to go to work. I wear them to keep warm. So I like really soft stuff against my skin. I just like that feeling of, it's soft and it's squishy, but it has nice drape, but also depending on how you look at it, it has good structure. And that's what's important to me. So to find a sport that I was like really happy with was really hard, but I think we found it. I'm almost there. They're soaking now. I dye it for the first time tomorrow. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, we're really excited. Like this sweater here. So these are all the colors that were behind me. This sweater was dropped today, which was a huge deal for this sweater. I was really proud. This one I was proud of. I was like, I think we should just knit ourselves happy in all these colors. And unfortunately, so this lighting in my office washes it out, but it's like the orange is super vibrant. It's all neon. So it's super vibrant, happy colors. And another thing about the yarn is everything goes together. So it doesn't matter what you pull from my collection, they will all go together. So even if you're like, oh, I shouldn't have got that, I should have got this, you're going to be okay.
That's really cool. Really cool. And what's the name of the sweater?
Oh, this one. This is the Color Story Tea by Tiff Nealon. It's awesome. So we launched kits today for pre-order. I had to keep my mouth shut on this one for a pretty long time. So I was super excited that Jess mailed me. She knit it and mailed it to me, and I was like, I have it.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's super, super it's comfortable, it's knit top down, it's 2 lengths, crop and traditional, and it's short sleeve, which I like because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm always like having my own personal summer. So
Oh my
bring
gosh.
on the short sleeves.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I live in California, so like for me, I can wear I try to knit pretty lightweight, a lot of cardigans because I can wear them in the morning and the evening, and I have to take them off and they just get ditched all around my house the
Me
rest of
too.
the
I like
day. And,
toss them.
and I think my office here is the warmest room in the house. It's like
Yeah,
it gets direct sunlight, and I've got all these lights on me, and I'm like, I can't wear any of my knitwear while I'm on camera or teaching because it's
right.
hot.
It is. My office is a whole wall of windows, and normally I prefer to show with these virtual things at night because I have like half my face is you can't even detect it in the camera because it's so light, and then I'm sweating because I have a sweater on.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm
I
only
get it.
sweating on this side. This side's totally fine. So normally I have a fan on me like Beyonce. I have a Beyonce moment in here. But yeah, I really like what I do. And I always joke my goal is to make happy makers worldwide.
Oh,
So if I can do that, I know I'm doing my job.
that's awesome. That's really awesome. Well, I wanted to just open it up to our live guests here on Zoom if they have questions for you. You can put them in the chat or you can unmute and ask out loud if you've got a question for Kim.
When is your Advent kit going to be available?
It's supposed to be launching hopefully the mid-June. I wish it was out earlier, but as you hear my crazy wacky life, I wasn't anticipating my husband being gone so long. So I've kind of been spread a little thin, and I wanted to make sure what I was putting out there was good. And I like to have a plan before I offer it to the masses because some people don't have a plan when they offer advents. They come up with them, they sell them, and then they invent them, right? This one's a little different. And I have reached out to a few different designers. So with what you're getting, you also have something to make with it, which I think is important because
Nice.
sometimes you get all these minis and you're like, what do I do with them?
Nice.
At least I do. I'm like, but minis, it's a phenomenon right now. I can't keep them in stock. Like they just, our Rainbow Bright set, which is right here, it goes like water. And I'm like, well, does everybody make a rainbow sweater? Like, I don't, what do you do with all of them? So I always like to know what's coming at me. So our Advent is definitely going to be a little different. We have one side that's like the whole, I call it the whole enchilada because you get yarn and tools and whatever, which way you want to go. And the other one might be more project based. So we'll see, but it's coming in hopefully mid-June.
That's really cool. And can people find that on your website when it's released?
Oh yeah, we'll be singing it from the the mountaintops.
Awesome.
You'll know it's there. And I think it's going to be a really fun time. We're hoping to get a knit along to go with it, which
great.
as you know requires planning too. So everything has like a calendar to it, but we're hoping to get that going too because I don't know if anybody knows, but the woman that works with me, her name is Jess, but she goes by Joy Fiber Art. She is a big test knitter, but she also has her own designs and is quite the personality. She's pretty fun. So I'm hoping to somehow get some knit along going on with her.
That sounds awesome. And when will your Advent be coming out? Like when will it be shipping?
Well, my thought process is they'll actually ship at the beginning of November, so everybody gets them, because we will have them done and bringing a select amount
Good.
to Rhinebeck.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And
So
maybe
super early. Good.
And maybe
Yeah, it's a
Rhinebeck.
daunting task, but I'm willing to try it.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
My husband's gonna be like, it's Christmas year round around here. And I joke with him, I'm like, open the pool, close the pool, Christmas. That's it.
And I hope I get to see you at Rhinebeck. My plans as of right now, I'm planning to be there.
Oh, good. Then you can meet mom.
Yeah.
So my mom started sewing. I think they're
Oh, she's doing the bags. I absolutely
knot
I
bags.
love I love the knot bags.
The knot bags. She can't sew any faster, and they keep I had to take some down because she was so overwhelmed with work. What happened was she made a few, threw them out there, and then people got a few of them, and then word of mouth traveled. So they kind of took off on their own, and she calls them, it's called a Mimi bag. My kids call my mom Mimi. And generally speaking, if you're in the booth with me, everybody calls her mom. It's really funny. So she generally is with me. She generally does. I often joke that she's still telling me how to spend my money. She does all the money around here. So she designed these bags. And the cool thing about them is that, so we live on Cape Cod, and we go to the beach a lot. And she walks the beach every day with my dad. So she collects sea glass in shells. So I don't know if you can see it, but every bag has this little teeny charm, this bottle charm, and in it is actual sand and actual sea glass from the Cape. So we're sending a little bit of us to you, so you have it. And don't worry, that it's not going to come off. She's gorilla glued the top onto it, but yeah, she makes 2 sizes, and they're all lined in like this yummy satin bright fabric.
Ooh.
So my sister used it the other day. She went out to dinner, didn't have a bag, so she took her project bag, flipped it inside out, and took it. And people were like, "Where'd you get your bag? It's so cute." I was like, "Get mom a label."
Nice.
So she has
I love the
label.
fabrics. They're fantastic.
They're fade resistant, stain resistant, and you can wash them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's big around here when you have boys. You need to wash everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I bet. Fantastic. Well, any more questions from our audience tonight?
Everybody's working on something. I'm so interested to know what they're working on.
Well, then I think if we have no more questions, I'm going to halt the live podcast, and then we can hang out, and our live audience members can maybe unmute and share what they're working on. So I will just say, before I do that, I'll just remind everybody, I'm Amy Snell. I'm here on Wouldn't It Be Fun approximately once a month. You can check my website, deviousknitter.com, for the next episode, which I haven't yet planned because I'm taking the month of June and the first week of July off from everything. But then in July, we'll be back with another episode. And you can also follow the podcast on Wouldn't It Be Fun on Instagram. So, Katie, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And
I'm so glad I did.